All right, today we're going to be doing 8-5, which is on factoring. And the types of factoring that we're going to be doing today is called the GCF, which is known as the greatest common factor, and we are also going to be doing grouping. The objective is to use the distributive property to factor polynomials and to solve quadratic equations in the form of ax squared plus bx equals 0. So let's go ahead and get started. Example 1, factor by finding the GCF. Well, remember, GCF is the greatest common factor. So let's first look at our numbers. Our numbers are, or our coefficients, would be 15 and 25. So you got to think of what is the greatest factor inside 15 and 25. So the factors of 15, remember, are 1, 3, 5, and 15. The factors of 25 are 1, 5, and 25. So the largest number that they have in common is 5. Okay, so we would write that down. And then whenever you look at the variables, first of all, they both have to have the same variable in common, and then you pick the smallest exponent. So right here, they both have an x, and the smallest exponent is x to the first, or just x. So we're going to write x right next to our 5. And that is our GCF. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do one set of parentheses, and we're dividing each term by 5x. So 15x divided by 5x leaves us with 3 because the x's will cancel out. And then 25x squared divided by 5x leaves us with 5x because 25 divided by 5 gives you 5. X squared divided by x leaves you with x. And there it is. That's how you factor. The GCF here is that 5x that's in front of the parentheses. Let's look at another example, example 2. Now we've got 3 terms here. We've got a trinomial. So the first thing we need to do is look at our coefficients and find the largest factor that goes into all of those numbers. Okay, 12, 24, and negative 30. And you see the largest number that goes into all of those is 6. And then the next thing you do is you look to see if they all have x's. They all have x's, so you pick the smallest exponent, which would just be x. And then do they all have y's? They do. So then pick the smallest exponent. So that would be just y. And then do your one set of parentheses. And then divide each term by that 6xy. So 12xy divided by 6xy leaves you with 2. 24xy squared divided by 6xy leaves you with 4. The x's will cancel out, and then the y squared divided by y leaves you with y. And then minus 5. X squared divided by x leaves you with x. And y to the 4th divided by y leaves you with y to the 3rd. And there's your answer. Whoa. Okay, that would be it. So our GCF here is 6xy. All right, example 3. Now we're going to factor by grouping. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the first 2 terms. Okay, so we're looking at the first 2 terms, and we're looking for the GCF there. So the 2 and the 7, there's nothing, they don't have a common factor. So now I look at the variables, and I see that they've got an x in common. Okay, they don't have a y in common, so it's just x. Then I do my one set of parentheses, just like we did on the other 2 examples. And now I'm going to do 2xy divided by x. That leaves you with 2y. And then 7x divided by x leaves you with 7. Now let's look at the last 2 terms right here and understand that that's a negative 2y there. And let's look here. Is there anything in common here? Well, Negative 2 and negative 7, they don't have anything in common. Y and Y, just Y, that doesn't have anything in common with the other one. So the only thing we can pull out here is a negative 1. And if I pull out a negative 1, then divide each term by negative 1, that gives me 2y, and then plus 7. Now notice, these two sets of parentheses here, they should be alike. If they are not alike, you've done something wrong. So I'm going to bring them down, just 1 though. Just bring it down as 1, 2y plus 7. And then in the other parentheses, I'm going to do another set of parentheses here. I'm going to bring over the leftover stuff, the stuff that's outside, the x and the minus 1. And there it is, factored by grouping. So I'm sure we're going to need another example of those. So let's look at another one. Example 4. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to group the first two terms. See what they have in common there. The only thing that I see in common is that they both have a y. So put that outside the parentheses and then divide each term by y. And that gives you 4x plus 3. Look at the last two terms. And now I see that those two, they both have a negative 5 in common. So I'm going to pull out a negative 5. Do a set of parentheses. Negative 20x divided by negative 5 leaves us with a positive 4x. And negative 15 divided by negative 5 leaves us with positive 3. And remember, we want these two sets of parentheses to be the same. Bring it down, 4x plus 3. And then in your other set of parentheses, you're going to bring down the leftovers, y minus 5. And there it is. Next one, example 5. Now we're going to solve. Notice we've got an equation here. We're going to solve this. And remember, it says, remember the zero product property. So the zero product property, if you remember that from the beginning of the year, that means any number, let's just say 3 times 0 equals 0. So that means any one of these sets of parentheses can equal 0 for this equation to equal 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the first set of parentheses, x minus 2, set it equal to 0. And then I'm also going to set the other set of parentheses, 4x minus 1, set it equal to 0. And then we solve. So I add 2 to both sides. And we get x equals 2. Add 1 to both sides on this one. 4x equals 1, divide both sides by 4, and I get x equals 1/4. So our solution here would be 1/4 and 2. And those around the 1/4 and the 2, those are our braces that we use to show that those are the solutions. Let's look at another example similar to this. This should say example 6 there. So notice on the previous one we had it set equal to 0. Well, we're going to need to do the same thing here. Set this equal to 0. So in order to set it equal to 0, I'm going to subtract 27x from both sides. And notice that these are not like terms, so that just gives us 9x squared minus 27x equals 0. And now from there, I'm going to need to factor by doing the GCF. Notice what do they have in common? Well, they can both be divided by 9, and they both have an x in common. So 9x is our GCF there. Divide each term by 9x, and that leaves us with x minus 3 equals 0. And then take each term, the 9x and the x minus 3, take each factor, 9x and the x minus 3, and set them both equal to 0. 9x equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. And then we solve. Divide by 9. 0 divided by 9 gives us 0. And then add 3 to both sides. and x equals 3. So our two answers on this one would be 0 and 3. Those are our solutions. All right, and that's it for these sets of notes. Be ready to take your notes check tomorrow in class.